Oregon Ducks 2026 season preview. We're going to dive right into it. Offense, defense, Dan Lanning, recruiting. We're going to look at the schedule at the end of this video. I will give you guys my prediction, season outlook. Let's dive straight in. Let's start with the fact that Oregon comes in with the number 2 recruiting class in the nation. Huge, big time for the Ducks. Transfer portal wise, I think they were 20th or 21st, but you could tell even with some big names like Raiola and Coy Parrish, that wasn't quite the main attraction for Dan Lanning. I like the way he's built this team, both off retention as well as high school recruiting. It's a great identity, and I've seen him piece this staff together in a way that I think is going to be really exciting. We'll touch on that. Only 13 incoming transfers, so again, to that point, not really the big identity of what we're going to see out of this team this year, but still some key pieces that will play this year and could shake up things a little bit. Now, Dan Lanning goes into year 5 with a 48-8 record. But how do we get to a national championship? It feels like if there's a season, the talent is there this year, but how does the staff do? Let's start with offense, all right? New offensive coordinator Drew Maringer comes in for the Ducks. Now, this is an internal hire. Maringer has been with the Ducks. He's been a part of Lanning's staff since 2022, was a tight ends coach, has had extreme success, not only with the tight ends at Oregon, but also NFL development, which is a big key piece. He's also got some incredibly talented tight ends this year. Again, we'll get to that as we touch on this offense. But the biggest thing for me, friends, is this is not really a go out and reach for a hire. I love the internal idea. Defense followed the same suit. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But Maringer was the co-offensive coordinator with Will Stein last year. He knows this power spread system like the back of his hands. Now, something to note, okay? With how good he's been with tight ends, being a tight ends coach, I think the 12 personnel in that power spread with the depth and the talent that running back room has here at Oregon is going to be dangerous. All right, we'll get to the receiving core as well. You pair all that together with their tempo, I think this is going to be huge. All right, so let's talk about the receiving core, and then we'll get to Dante Moore. All right, Evan Stewart. We're finally going to get to see Evan Stewart play, man. Last year, plagued with injury, did not even get a chance to play. This was a former 5-star recruit, former number 1 wide receiver in the nation coming out of high school, committed to Texas A&M, didn't do too bad there, transferred to Oregon, played that one season in 24, was hurt all of last year. It's his senior year. It's a chance for him to shine. I think he is going to have a massive breakout year. DeCorian Moore, obviously the star true freshman last year. He gets another shot at making things happen this year. He's going to be big for them. And then both McClellan and Hooks. So the depth at the receiver position is big. That power spread, they're going to spread you out horizontally with those talents, and then they're going to pound the ball down the middle in a 12 or 13 personnel. The tight end room is insane too. Okay, Kendra Harrison, 5-star, number 1 tight end in the nation, 6'7". He comes in. He's going to be a massive piece in this offense. But also Jamari Johnson, who I believe will probably start. But again, in a 12 personnel, we're likely going to see both of those guys on the field at the same time a lot this year. A lot of intermediate drags, a lot of crossing routes, tons of mesh concepts, getting those guys involved. Similar to the production we saw out of Kenyon Sadiq last year, I think we're going to see that again. Let's talk about the quarterback position. Okay, Dante Moore did not go to the NFL. I've done some film reviews on Dante Moore last season. I know there was a awesome group of Oregon fans that put my video out and kind of touched on it a little bit here and there on some blog posts about how Dante Moore just wasn't quite ready for the NFL. And again, I felt that way watching his film last year. I think this was the smartest decision. I think Maringer's going to have a lot of success with him. I'm curious and excited to see the growth that he has. Now, my fear with that is the offensive line, which we're going to get there, okay? The most comfortable part of this offensive line is the center. All right, you have an anchor at center with Laulu. I can't pronounce it, Laulu. That's huge. All right, started 15 games last year, didn't miss a beat, over 880 snaps of college football played. He is your anchor. He's your vocal leader. He's strong, only allowed 1 sack all year last year, at least from that center position. So that's going to be big. The biggest question is going to be Crater and Wilson on the blind side, okay? And then all the pieces you're going to have to infuse in there. It's going to be all new continuity. Oregon's going to have to find an identity. If you watch the spring game, let's just be honest, it wasn't pretty. So Oregon's got a lot of work to do up front. And in order for the power spread to work, not only do you have to be able to power run the ball, okay, you can spread out as many people out of the box as you want, but if you still can't win mano a mano on the line of scrimmage, 5-on-5 or 5-on-4, right, get to the second level and even defeat that first line of defense and get to those linebackers, you're going to have a really, really hard time. Secondly, even pass pro is going to be a nightmare for you. So Oregon's going to have to find some identity on the offensive line. Now, I do think what helps, and I think where Dante Moore is going to have to grow and develop this year, is knowing when to create something with his legs, right? Scramble, get out of the pocket instead of forcing the ball down the field. He's also going to have to learn not to scramble too fast and be able to step into a dirty pocket and find windows, find your second or third read, find your checkdowns. Okay, so I think Maringer is going to keep that offense quick hits, right? RPOs, things along those lines, 12 personnel. Let's leak people out, slip people out. It's going to be really fun to watch this team on film and see the creativity, but they're going to need that offensive line to develop. Let's also not forget Dylan Raiola, backup quarterback. Curious to see if Dante Moore maybe struggles. Not predicting he will, don't think he will, but obviously you have an experienced guy like Dylan Raiola who we've never really seen his ceiling of potential quite yet either, so that will be interesting. That is it for the offense. Let's flip over to the defense, okay? Chris Hampton takes over this Oregon defense off after Tosh Lapoi's departure to Cal. Again, another internal hire, which I had alluded to earlier. All right, this is another guy that was a co-defensive coordinator. He's been on the staff since 2023. I love this. 2 internal hires, guys that have grown through this program, been a part of this program, get their opportunity to shine. I'm really, really excited for it. I think that does something with just team chemistry. I think that does something with passion and drive, keeping guys that have been on this staff, giving them that opportunity. I absolutely love it. I think that's what makes Dan Lanning so special. That's what makes him so beloved and a great recruiter as well. It's the person he is. Not saying that going out and getting other hires is a bad thing, but I'm really, really excited to see what Chris Hampton does. He was at Tulane back when they won the Cotton Bowl over USC, completely revitalized that defense. He's got loads of talent on this side of the ball, man. I mean, loads of talent. The defensive line, you get 4 seniors. It might be the best defensive line in the country, arguably the best, at least in the Big Ten, without a doubt, in my opinion. 4 seniors, man. It's pretty incredible. You got Uyangalele, Tuiotu, Alexander, and Washington all on that unit. You got more depth, blue chip recruits behind them. That's going to be the anchor. That's going to be the most important part of this defense by far, in my opinion. You then bring in Coy Parrish there in the secondary. You got Woodyard and Flowers as well, hard-hitting sideline to sideline guy. The linebacker room, Mixon, Jackson, Williams. I think those are going to be the 3 key guys. More names to keep in mind there. Also look out for 5-star Naeem Offord at the corner position. I do, however, think Finney and Scott will likely start. We know that Finney's going to start. I think Scott wins that other job, but again, Offord, 5-star guy. He's someone to watch out for. Tons of talent on this defense. I'm curious to see what Hampton schemes up. We know in the past, Oregon's defense has really been a problem, but I think with Dan Lanning being the ring leader, having Hampton grow into this position, a guy that was with Lapoy and was a co-defense coordinator last year, I think that defensive line is going to be the centerpiece of this team. The depth that they have as well. Oregon's defense has a lot of speed, a lot of sideline to sideline speed. I think that's going to be a big factor for them competing in the Big Ten. I'm really looking forward to watching that unit play. Whoops, phone's going off there. Let's go ahead and let's look at their schedule now. All right, I think this is going to be an interesting schedule for Oregon. I wouldn't go as far to say it's an easy schedule. It's definitely one of the tougher in the country, but you start with Boise State right from the get-go at home. So going to be an interesting game. I do think Oregon should win this game. Boise State's in a bit of a different situation. Not quite as good as I think we are used to seeing Boise State be. But again, you can never count out the Broncos. So good little test to see where you're at week 1. You then go week 2 at Oklahoma State. This is going to be an entirely new look Oklahoma State. It's going to be a team that the environment's going to be rocking. Could be a chance at College game day. You never know. Okay. I think the Cowboys have an incredible fan base down there in Stillwater. I'm excited to see what the revamp looks like, and having a ranked team, ideally, more than likely a top 5 team coming into the country week 2. It's going to be a tough test for Oregon just in terms of environment. I do think on paper they are the much better team, but we'll see. You then finally get Portland State, so you get a little bit of a breather there. Yeah, I believe is there a bye week in there? 5-12? No bye week yet. Then you go at USC. So 3 of your first 4 games are against tough teams. Again, maybe not as many ranked teams as you would think when you say the word tough, but this is not an easy start to the schedule by any stretch. Oregon's going to have to get out running. All right, USC will likely be ranked. You then play UCLA at home, should be a win, but again, UCLA's been on the up and up. New coaching staff over there. New look, not really sure what you're going to get. Film from last year is not really going to do you anything. Nebraska at home. Interesting one there, obviously against Raiola's old team. Now, who knows if Raiola's even going to be playing. Dante Moore is the undoubted starter, but we'll see how that goes. Again, not the easiest game in the world. At Illinois, also a tough game. Brett Bielema and that program's continued to get better. They've been flirting with getting up to that next tier in the Big Ten. Tough game. Northwestern, I would say only your second take a deep breath, you have it game of the year. And even then, you never know with Northwestern what could happen with that program either. You go at Ohio State, extremely tough game, likely, depending on where we're at this point in the season, a top 10, at least top 15 matchup, I would hope. Then you go Michigan at home. Who knows? Michigan could also be a ranked team, very good football team. At Michigan State, that's a program that's continuing to get better. Never easy to go play in East Lansing. And then you end the year at home against a Washington team that looks to be really, really good with Damon Williams and Jedd Fisch. So here's the prediction, okay? With that schedule, the way it shapes up, Oregon's going to get a chance to really find out who they are early. Now, again, I'm not saying that Boise State is a perennial, top 25 team by any stretch and that Oregon's going to know right away how good they are. I'm not saying that USC is a top 25 team. I do think USC will be at that point, or should be at least on paper. But there's going to be enough tests for Oregon to really understand and start to find their identity. I think that's going to help this team move throughout the season. I do think this is at least a 10-win team, at least. Again, a team like Oregon, the ceiling is undoubtedly 12-0. I think realistically, you're looking at 10 wins here. I do think a 10-2 season is a good season. It might get you to the Big Ten championship, but either which way, I do think this is a playoff team that might hit a couple bumps in the road. I'm curious to see. I love the hires, but I'm interested to see in these pressure moments how both Chris Hampton and Drew Maringer do. Two new coordinators, both offense and defense. What does Dan Lanning do? How does that culture fit? A lot of talent. I love the retention. I think there's going to be some really, really good chemistry on this team. Let me tell you this. I don't think Oregon needs to go 12-0 to win a championship. I think this team could finish the year 10-2, possibly get into the Big Ten championship, and find their stride towards the end of the season at the right time. I think this is definitely a team that could get extremely dangerous come December and into January and possibly win a national championship. So that's all I got for you, friends. I really appreciate you for tuning in. If you're an Oregon fan, you have anything you want to add, agree, disagree, let me know down in the comments. Please subscribe if you guys haven't already. That would be much appreciated. Drop a like on this video, and I will see you next time. Thank you, guys.